morning, everyone. This is Amanda Aguilar, your host for See You Later 2020, closing the books at year-end Xero. I'm happy to have you guys on. There's a ton of you guys showing up. Still more people coming in, which is awesome. This webinar series actually came out of me writing the book over the summer. I realized that I thought I knew a lot about Xero, but until you are required to sit down and push every button and see what every option does, sometimes you're like, oh, I didn't really understand this. So definitely the first two sessions that we did were based on stuff that I just thought people need to know more about from writing the book. This session is, I'm just sharing with you my experience of how I close books in Xero. We've done this for several years, so I just wanted to share that with you. I do have an accounting practice in addition to having elephant training. I do still run an accounting practice down in New Orleans. And so even though that's probably only about a quarter of my time now, I do love to make sure that I am the one wrapping up the year-end stuff. So I'm going to share that with you. So the plan for today is one thing. It's just for me to share my year-end checklist in Xero with you. Everyone has a different way of doing this. If you surveyed 10 different Xero partners, there'd probably be 10 different checklists and 10 different ways to do this. So this is just how I do it. You should probably adapt it for your clients and your types of clients. We have a lot of sole proprietor professional services type clients. So marketing consultants, and I have a blog writer. I've got a bunch of lawyers. So this is not going to fit probably, as is, e-commerce companies or construction companies or manufacturing companies or anybody with a lot of inventory, but hopefully it's a good starting spot for you. In the handouts section, you should see my PDF of my list. That's basically what we are going to cover today. Reclass fixed assets under a company's threshold. Again, this is going to be something that it's going to be company by company. A lot of folks are using that $2,500 threshold for fixed assets. For our clients, that's kind of high. Like, I have a lot of much smaller clients. So what I generally do is, it depends on client. On the books, I will, my threshold for a lot of them is 500, but then I make sure that the tax preparer has all the details and they can make the choice of how they want to write them off or depreciate them or whatever. We don't do tax prep here. We just do the bookkeeping and accounting. So we want to go ahead and make sure we do this. Is anybody using the fixed assets module, the functionality in Xero, fixed assets functionality? Couple people. Yeah, I'll say this. When I started using Xero, it was terrible, and so I never used it. So we would keep separate spreadsheets generally, or what we do most of the time is write the depreciation to the tax return, like we just book enter it in. But I will say I have 2 or 3 folks that are like power Xero users, and they are all in on depreciation in Xero now, using it for fixed assets. Patty Sharp is one of them. I don't think she's on, but I feel like I saw somebody from Catching Clouds on here. She's one that is using it. Jake Hillman is using it. So it has gotten a lot better since it was first released. So take a peek at it if you're thinking about maybe doing depreciation in the system. I book true up the prior year tax depreciation. So what we usually do for our folks is that I will book a monthly depreciation estimate based on the prior year's tax return. So we'll just divide by 12 and book a depreciation estimate each period. And then when I get to the end of 2020, I'm going to go back and get the final 2019 tax return for the client and true it up. So for our clients, most of them, we keep the books, the depreciation based on tax. So I'll just go up and grab the final tax return, that just probably got prepared 2 months ago, go put an entry in and true it up. Next thing I do is I review prior year journal entries to make new ones. I think probably everybody on here knows how to make a journal entry, but you go into accounting, advanced, manual journals, and I always look at the prior year and make sure that we do those if we need to. Some of those would be like owner expenses to be reimbursed. So if we have an owner client who has been using personal money and they've just been sitting on receipts, we'll make sure those get in. We'll make sure, same thing with mileage allowances. So put those in, intercompany transfers, and so reclassing owner's compensation. So if we have Gusto pushing all of our sales, all of our salaries into one GL line, but we have an S Corp owner, we'll make that reclass so it shows. So we just want to make sure we do those at year end. The other thing we do is we close out prior year draws to retained earnings. So Xero doesn't do this automatically. So if you have a general ledger line for owner's draws that's in the equity section, and that's where you're posting it to, it's just going to roll. It's just going to keep rolling. So at the end of the year, I will go back and make sure that I'm closing the prior year's draws to retained earnings, so that when I run the statements for the tax preparer, they're only seeing the draws for the current year. So it's just one quick little thing that makes it much easier for the tax preparer. We also like to put out a 12-month income statement. So this is easy to do in report layouts. If you were on my session on Tuesday, we talked about report templates, which I kind of ran out of time and I couldn't go into it as much as I wanted. And plus it was being real buggy on Tuesday. But one of the things that we would do is create a 12-month income statement. And we like doing this for at the template level, because if you can do it where you can compare prior periods, but Xero's default is like to put the periods in kind of the wrong order. So we go and create a January through December 12-month income statement. Publish statements for the tax preparer. So we always produce accrual-based financial statements throughout the year for discussing with our clients. But most of the tax returns are done on a cash basis. So we will go in and run cash basis, balance sheet, and income statement, and we mark them in the title final for tax prep, and those are the ones that go over to the tax preparer. 14 is to lock dates, so I'll just show you in case you don't know this exists or don't know where it is. Under advanced financial settings, down here, lock dates, you have two options. You can stop everybody except advisors, so people with advisor level permissions. You can stop everyone except them from making changes, so you definitely want to go do this soon. And then stop everybody from making changes before a certain date. So we're going to lock our dates down. And then the last one is, after all this is done, we want to take time at this point in our cycle to save our work papers, save our bank statements, make sure everything's organized. In our system, we just actually switched from Box to Google Drive this year. So, but we kept our structure, which is we have a folder under each client for each year's stuff. So we want to make sure that that's all cleaned up, because it's much easier to find those things and download those things now than it will be a couple years from now when it's a complete mess. Make sure you grab those downloads with the checklist if that's something you want to keep. There is a Facebook group if you're on Facebook. This is a pretty good resource. I'm trying to build it as a community where folks can ask questions and help each other out. So if you're on Facebook, feel free to join. Love you guys. Take care, and I'll see you around soon.